Hey, I don't really know how to do this. This wasn't planned. I don't have notes and I don't have a point that I'm trying to make. I just couldn't keep my feelings inside anymore. I've been sitting here since Sunday just breathing, trying to work out what I can say without completely falling apart. The truth is, I'm not okay, and the Jewish community is not okay, because this is not normal. It's been nearly a week since Bondi, a week, and I still feel like my body hasn't caught up with reality. Like my mind knows what happened, but my chest refuses to accept it. Time feels fake right now. And I'll be doing something like making coffee, answering an email, opening the fridge, and then it hits me again. And people keep saying nearly a week like that is supposed to mean something. Like grief respects calendars, but it doesn't. Because 15 people are dead. 15. I keep saying that number out loud and it still doesn't land. It feels like something from somewhere else, somewhere far away, somewhere violent and broken. But it's here. It's us. I don't know how to sit with that without feeling like something inside me has been ripped open. I keep thinking about how ordinary that night was supposed to be. That's what keeps destroying me. And I can imagine someone saying, let's go down to Bondi Beach, it'll be nice. The kids will love it. See, these people didn't choose danger, they chose normal. And that's the part that I can't shake. And I can't stop thinking about Matilda, 10 years old. She should be worrying about homework, what's for dinner, about whether she's allowed to stay up late. Instead, her name is now spoken in the past tense. And if a country can't keep a 10-year-old safe at a beach celebration, then something is deeply broken and wrong. I've lived here for 38 years and I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was solid. I thought Australia was a decent, fair and tolerant country. I thought there were things that we just didn't allow to happen here. Yes, anti-Semitism existed. Yes, it was rising, but it always stopped short of murder. I believed that the government's most basic job was to keep people alive, and it could do it. But that belief is gone. Every Jewish person that I've talked to is asking themselves, is it still safe to gather to celebrate? Is it still safe to be visibly Jewish? Those questions don't belong here. And yet here we are. And what's making this even harder is knowing that Bondi didn't come out of nowhere. This wasn't random, didn't fall from the sky. And yes, I refuse to sound calm because calm is what we were told to be, while the temperature kept climbing and climbing and climbing. For more than 2 years since October 7, week after week in Melbourne and in Sydney, Jews in rallies, on posters, online were described as villains, as subhuman. If you supported Israel to exist, you were labeled evil. If you were a Zionist, you were a war criminal, a genocidal baby killer. We were turned into something that people felt licensed to kill. People were screaming for violence in code and were treated like human rights activists for Palestine. And the betrayal is that while all this was happening, the priority for state and federal governments seemed not to upset anyone. So make no mistake, that choice, that inaction killed people, 15 people on Sunday. Now I've listened to the Prime Minister this week. He talked about new laws, new powers, stronger penalties, visa powers, task forces. And I want to believe it will make a difference. I really do, but I can't pretend that the timing doesn't hurt. Because everything that is discussed now is what we in the Jewish community were asking the state and federal governments before Bondi Beach became a killing zone. Now, the Prime Minister also says it's time to move forward. Well, I don't know what he's talking about. What does moving forward mean when families are still frozen in shock? When parents are burying their children? When the dead haven't even settled into our bodies yet? So I'm not there, Prime Minister. We are not there yet. And yes, I'm still trying to understand how this hatred was allowed to grow, how warnings were noted and then set aside, how anti-Semitism became louder without being stopped. And some people say, well, we could have done more. Yes, but what happened at Bondi was simple. Evil was given space. It was given permission. And the warnings were there. They weren't subtle. They weren't whispered. We documented every one of them. We delivered them. We said, this dehumanization, this incitement will end in blood. And we were ignored. Anti-Semitism doesn't need encouragement to grow. The only thing that it needs is room. And governments and politicians and community leaders and institutions and councils and organizations turned a blind eye. And I need to say something that our politicians are afraid to say clearly. They keep tiptoeing around it. Radical Islamic hate preachers have been allowed to operate in this country openly. They teach that Jews are our enemies, that violence is holy. They teach that murder can be justified if you dress it up as faith. This wasn't hidden. It wasn't underground. It was out in the open. And it was tolerated. And hatred that is tolerated never stays as words. It looks for a body. And on Sunday, it found 15. Now, there has to be a royal commission, not for politics, not for appearances, because 15 people are dead, and lessons learned is not an answer. I don't want to hear about more press conferences. We need to know under oath how and why warnings were ignored, how this anti-Semitic incitement went unpunished, how radicalization was allowed to grow, and how men filled with hatred got guns to kill. Because without the truth, there will be another Bondi. Maybe it will be on St Kilda Beach in Melbourne, or in another city where Jews will gather to celebrate. Or maybe it will be another religious or ethnic group that doesn't fit into the warped worldview of these radicals, of these evil, crazy men. And then we'll call it a tragedy instead of a failure. I don't have an ending to this. I don't have a neat, tidy way to finish this. What I have is pain and rage and the feeling that something sacred in this country was violated. So if you're watching this and you feel angry and outraged, it's okay. You should. This wasn't an attack in a war zone overseas. It happened here. So this was an attack on the very idea that Australia is safe for Jews. This was an attack that Jews are safe, that Jews can live freely in a country, and it could have been prevented. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. Just know that pretending everything is fine would be another kind of lie. 15 people should be alive. So I hope you're all doing all right. Please check in on yourself and the people you love. I know you're all hurting right now. Some are doing quietly, some are deeply. So please talk to someone. Don't carry this alone. You deserve to be heard. Shabbat shalom and stay safe.